Am I supposed to stand?
You can sit down. Whatever you want to do. Yeah.
Okay.
I just want you to be as comfortable as you can be.
More as natural as I can be.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just be natural. Yeah. All right. Hey guys, it is Jesse here with my companion Austin. Everyone say hi to Austin.
Hi.
Well, I said it. Everyone say hi, and then I had you. Okay. Anyway, I'm here, Jesse here with Austin, and we found a friend at Stockton University. What is your name?
Hope.
Hope. Hope. Hope. Okay. Awesome. Awesome. So, Hope, what is the meaning of life? What kind of gets you up in the morning? Deep philosophical question. Let's hear your thoughts.
Very deep, by the way. So what kind of gets me up in the morning is I know that every day is a new chapter. I look at life as like a chapter, as like almost like I look at life as a book. So each day, each month is a new chapter, and you kind of write your own chapter. So meeting new people, connecting with professors, and just really having a fun time. I feel like is that's life is making new experiences and meeting new people.
That's a really cool way to put it. Like it's like a book. Um, yeah, because our life is different all the time, right? Um, this is kind of a question I have: is does your book have a good ending, and do you want it to have a good ending?
So I don't know yet. I feel like life is very unpredictable, especially time. Time, is a big component because time like really doesn't stop for anyone. 1 second you can think you have all the time in the world, or the person next to you has all the time in the world, and you kind of just has like I feel like time is the biggest thing that throws me for a loophole because you never know when time is going to be up.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, just thinking about the recent shooting near the campus, right? So sad.
That was scary.
I mean, it's just like time and life and death is just so fast, right?
Yeah, no, I think adding to that, like about the shooting, I feel like.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, I was holding the mic.
Oh, sorry.
You can also take it out of my hands too if you
Oh,
talk for a little bit.
okay, cool. So I was just gonna say, I feel like with the shooting, it definitely put a lot of things into perspective for me because I realized how I feel like we always say, oh yeah, we're gonna have we have all the time in the world because nothing like what happened on Thursday would ever happen to you, but it did, and that kind of put in perspective for me, and I think a lot of other people that you never know, you truly never know what's gonna happen when it's gonna happen. I know that kind of had me thinking was I really living life to my fullest? Was I living my life to its fullest potential? And I feel like if you're not living for yourself, you're not really living. Like I feel like so many people live for other people and their values, but I feel like you need to live for yourself in order to enjoy life to the fullest.
Thanks for sharing, Hope. Austin, do you have any thoughts on meaning of life or anything Hope said?
I feel I feel like living for someone else could be part of it though. Because yes, you should live for yourself, but if you don't live for other people while you're living for yourself, you won't ever learn that deeper meaning of compassion towards other people. Because you're never really going to think that far ahead. You're just going to go through life just breezing by other people. You might have a few friends here and there, but you're never going to really be able to grasp that true meaning of genuine connections. And when you can't do that, you can't really expand your knowledge of different types of compassion. I also feel like, to me, the meaning of life is to live your life as best as you can, being as nice as you can. I've been through some pretty bad stuff through my life, but I've always tried to be respectful to the people around me, even when they're not respectful to me. Just because that's God's will to me. He tells me to just sit there and show compassion even when compassion isn't there. And that's pretty much what makes my world go round. Because there's nothing better than seeing someone happy from the actions you've made.
Thanks for sharing, Austin. Yeah, I hope what you shared was really powerful. I'm kind of stuck on the phrase about the book still. So, I asked you, do you want the ending to be good ending? And you said kind of, we don't know because time's crazy, right? Um,
Sorry. So no, I mean, I think what I was trying to say is that of course, I think everyone hopes for a good ending. I think that's what we all really hope for. But at the end of the day, if I don't have a good ending to my life, then I know that it's no one else's fault but my own because Like at the end of the day, like your life is what you make out of it. Yeah, you can have people yelling in your ear telling you I hate you, this and that. Like you can have a million people yelling at you, talking about a bunch of negative things, or you can have them cheering you on. But at the end of the day, it's up to you. No one can take your pen and write your story. Only at the end of the day, people can influence your decision about what you write, but only you can write it. So at the end of the day, when you're writing it, it really comes from you, not from anybody else.
What do you think happens after the story's over, like when you die?
I'm gonna be honest. I'm not sure. I do believe in God. But like I feel like it's so unknown. Like, and I think that's life in general, though. Like, life is so unknown. Like going back to the incident that happened here on Thursday. Like, nothing could have prepared anyone for that. I mean, yeah, you see it on the news all the time. But you always say, "Oh, it's not going to be me. It's not going to be my school," until it is. So.
Yeah, what you shared was powerful, and it made me think of like, a lot of life is unpredictable. I personally believe that we can know what happens after death. According to Jesus, he said, "I go and prepare a place in heaven for you." And he said, "In my Father's house are many mansions, many homes." He says, "I go and prepare a place for you." And then in that same part in the Bible, he said, "I'm the way, the truth, and the life. And no one comes into the relationship with the Heavenly Father except through me." So Jesus gave us the answer to, you know, what happens after this life on earth is heaven and hell. And he said, through faith in what I did for you on the cross, by taking on the weight of all of our sins and believing that he, saved us from our sin and, gives us a promise of everlasting life in John 3:16. What are your thoughts on Jesus? Have you thought of Jesus? And
Sorry. So I know growing up, I've always went to church. I went to like different. So my parents are both different religions. So I guess growing up, it was kind of like I didn't really think about it as much. But then getting older, like I had one of my aunts. Like I kind of really like I look to her as far as like when it comes to like we'll sometimes go to church together and we'll sometimes be over FaceTime, especially like during after long classes and stuff, and we'll just talk, and then we'll usually say a prayer here and there, especially because like life is tough. Like there's so much stuff going on in today's world, and especially like school is hard, like college is really hard. So I definitely think that prayer, and like I also like listening to Christian, like I like listening to like different songs, and I just think I don't think it's hard. Like I think people have different opinions, but at the end of the day, like you said though, it is also your life. So I think that you know I don't really think there's a right way to answer this question. But yeah.
yeah, you mentioned like it being like a book. There's actually something called the Book of Life in the Bible, where it actually has our whole life story written in this book called Life. And it says if our name is in the Book of Life, that means that we'll be, having a good ending. We'll be in heaven. And the way to have that name written in the Book of Life is through Jesus and having a relationship with him. So would that be something you'd be interested in thinking more about, like building your relationship with Jesus?
I think so. It's really hard to say right now because right now, like, my life is so busy, between classes and then everything else that, goes on outside of classes. It's kind of hard to say, but I definitely will say I keep an open mind when it comes to things. I'm not one to just shut things down, but I do have to, like, take time to think about things. So, yeah.
If you had one message to someone that was really depressed and like, not really wanting to live anymore, what would you tell them?
I would tell them it gets better. Which I know that sounds like a very cliche thing to say. You hear it all the time. Just it will get better. But you have to give it time, and that like goes. That's funny because we're going back to time. Life is like a carousel. Like again with my analogy, I do apologize. But life is like a carousel. There you go in this spinning circle, and the circle never stops. The circle is never going to stop spinning because it's a cycle. A cycle never stops. But at the end of the day, it's up to you whether or not yeah, things are gonna get hard and things are really gonna suck at times. Sorry, I didn't know if I was supposed to curse or not. Yeah, no, you're right. You know, I will say, like, at the end of the day, life is a constant circle, and you never know what's gonna be thrown your way. So you can either hold on tight and find out what tomorrow brings, or you decide to give up. But if you give up, there's no seeing the tomorrow. So I really do think that if things are hard, take time for yourself and put in that work, like put in that inner healing first, and then decide whether or not you think life is worth living. But at the end of the day, hang in there. Um, we all love you. You know, yeah.
Austin, do you have any thoughts?
I think that about 5 weeks ago, I was going through a dark place. Um, I didn't have an intent of coming home one night, but what I would say to someone who was in my position is to seek something out that you really want to strive for, that you really love, and that you know can't, not know, but you believe won't let you down. Because it's going to give you that little push that you need to just keep on moving forward. And for me, that was God. Jesse, I look up to him, and I really do. I look up to you. That's why I love coming to these events. I look up to you. You've given me a lot of hope. But I feel like going to these different events for the church, different little social experiments that I just started. So I'm a little bit nervous to talk, but I think going to those little events eventually turn into bigger events over time because they give you more fruits of labor and they give you more insight onto into different types of knowledge that you can now access to help yourself grow better, feel better, and become more mentally prepared through God.
Sorry. um, going like referring to what you had just said about oh, sorry. Does this thing move or okay? Okay. So going back to what you just said about you did bring up a really good point. I think it was about the oh my gosh. Oh, you had said something. You said you were going through a dark place. I know that. And then you were saying how you find things to like you find small things to kind of like push you forward and to make it worth the time. And like I know for me, when I was in high school, throughout middle school and through high school, I was never the type to like get involved. Like I was always the one that would never go to any clubs. If we were in a room full of people and they asked, for volunteers, I would never raise my hand. And I think coming here and I've experienced hardships, I've experienced some good times, but through it all, I feel like coming, you kind of just you learn to like persevere through the fear. And I feel like fear is something that does get in the way of living. Um, I always say this, and I truly believe that like fear is a silent killer. That there's a lot of silent killers. Yes, don't get me wrong, but I think that fear would be a top one. Because when people are fearing something, they're too afraid to talk out about it. But if you don't talk about it and keep it in, then you feel like you're alone, or you feel like your feelings are invalid, or you feel like there's just no hope. There's just no point. But when you share and you speak out loud and you meet these people and you make connections, I feel like everything just kind of falls into place. So I think a big first step in self-healing is getting yourself out there. I mean, what's the worst that's going to happen? You're going to embarrass yourself, you're going to cry, you're going to laugh a few times. That's life. Life is full of laughter, tears, pain. Like, why not? You're already living. So why not just put yourself out there and see what happens?
Yeah, there's actually a verse in the Bible that says God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. And also, I love the acronym. FEAR is FEAR, false evidence appearing real. Did you ever hear that? Yeah.
No, I didn't, which I'm very surprised because as you can tell, I'm very like, I love stories and I love like interpreting things in a different sense. I seem to interpret things in a very like deeper manner as far as like like life goes. Like I said, I use a lot of analogies and I do know a lot of acronyms. So that's actually very very cool. I'm gonna use that from now on.
Awesome. Well, Hope, thank you so much for your time. This is a great interview. And Austin, thank you as well. And is there any way we can be just praying for you in your school? What are you studying?
Okay, yeah. Oh, sorry. So yeah, I'm majoring in social work. I hope, yeah. So it does actually like hit home when we were talking about like mental health and stuff, because that's like my thing. That's like my cup of tea. And I think as far as like so I'm a social work major. I hope to become a child life specialist. So I've been in the hospital for a few years, like kind of in and out for like different reasons. And I guess growing up, like you're not mature, but as I've grown up in the hospital and like experienced different things, I've realized that like the people who work in the hospital, like their goal or overall goal, what makes them happy is making other people happy. So it like for example, I would have one time a nurse braid my hair, and I would be laughing and smiling, be like, "Oh my god, my hair is so pretty." And I would look over and she had the biggest smile on her face. And so I think for me, having that experience as someone who like having that experience on the other side, that's kind of what drives me to help other people, because I've been helped before. So it's like I kind of just want to be the voice and I want to give back. So and then as far as like prayer, I think you should like I would say pray for everybody at this school, or everyone in general, because I think so, like I feel like people don't even know that they need it. I feel like it could be the smallest thing that they need it for. So my biggest advice is just pray for everybody, and you never know it might not reach everybody, but it might reach someone. So yeah.
Thank you so much, Hope. Well, that concludes our interview, and hope you have a great rest of your day. Thank you.
So